Today is another good day. Today is 7th July 2023. We have started this advanced course on 3rd of this month. And now we have finished. Now, in fact, it is going on the Vedas. We have 3 classes from CSR Prabhu Garu. And this is the 4th class on Vedas. It is from Krishna Yajurveda. The topic is Arunprasna, Science in Arunprasna. And the author is Sitaram Ayyagari Garu. I will introduce the speaker to all of you after we recite Vande Mataram and chant Prarthana. Let us request Challa Chittibabu Garu to recite Vande Mataram, please.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujalam Sufalam, Malaya Jasitalam, Jasya Syamalam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Suprajosna Pulakitayamini, Pullakusumita Drumadala Shobhini, Suhasini, Sumadhura Bhashini, Sukhadam Varadam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram.
Vande Mataram.
Vande Mataram.
ధన్యవాదములండి చల్లా చిట్టిబాబు గారు. Now let us request Ananthanji to chant Prarthana and all of us also chant Prarthana. Mute your mics.
Sarvebhyah Namaskaraha. 1 minute meditation. Let us close our eyes. Relax the body. Total concentration on breath. Without interfering its movement. I just watch my breath. Trivaram Omkar. Gananantva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashranvannoti Vissidasadanam Mahaganapataye Namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebirvajinivati Dhinam Avityavatu Vagdevyai Namaha Gurureva Gadir Gurumeva Bhaje Gurunaiva Sahasmi Namo Gurave न गुरोः परमं शिशुरस्मि गुरोः मतिरस्ति गुरौ मम पाहि गुरो ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्यय व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ सर्वेभ्यः नमस्कारः।
ధన్యవాదములండి అనంతం గారు. Now let us introduce the speaker to all of you. Sitaram Ayyagari Garu. It is my privilege to introduce you to our students of the advanced level 2 certificate course on Sanatana Dharma. Sitaram Ayyagari is a engineering graduate, and also he got education in Veda. He is one of those who got education in both modern science and also Vedic science. So he did a lot of work to correlate both these things to get what is the science which is in our Sanskrit manuscripts. He did his engineering in electronics and communication engineering, which was followed by masters in electronics instrumentation. And finally, he did his MBA, and now he is working in corporate America in higher positions. Probably the important education he got is in Vedas. His initial training is by his father in Krishna Yajurveda and Rigveda, and Srirama Murti Garu, and his uncle Bhimashankaran Garu, and later he was trained with Pandit Sri Ramesh Rajamani Garu in Ohio, and late Brahmasri Ghanapati Gollapalli Uday Kumar Sharma Garu, and meanwhile he did a lot of self-study to see the science in Vedas, especially Krishna Yajurveda, and in particular Arunprasna. So he has done a lot of work, and he has written a book also on the science of Arunprasna, cosmology to quantum physics. So it is the study of quantum physics where he got the idea of how to correlate the science in Vedas and the modern science. So his book on the science of Arunprasna is released through Veda Samskruti Samiti at Hyderabad Osmania University in November 2022, and in Varanasi BHU, and then Delhi University, Sanskrit University, and especially in Tirupati at many places, about 6-7 places, with the coordination of our VSS Executive Secretary Tirupati, Lalitaji, who is present in our crowd today, and also in Visakhapatnam and in Nagpur and many places. This book on science of Arunprasna has been released, and it is, a lot of people have appreciated this book. So with this introduction, I request Sitaram Ayyagari garu to start his session. Sitaram garu.
Namaste, everyone. So let me share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, it is coming. It is there. Science of
Yeah.
Arunprasna by Sitaram Ayyagari.
Make it a little bigger so everyone of us can see. Okay. So yeah, as Ravagar mentioned, I wrote this book last year. We released this book last November. Started with Osmania University. Then I went on for 15 places all over India and gave lectures and got some feedback also for my next versions of this book and next research or topics. But today, I would like to, talk about the book and what I found, the science, how I found and how I analyzed. More basically, I will talk about the frameworks that I used, why I thought the way I think, why I thought so. So let me give you a little bit introduction about this Arunprasna to start with. Then we will go to the introduction. So first of all, I talk about the introduction. Then I talk about the frameworks. And then I talk about the topics that I covered in the book. And then I specifically talk about the earth and time and gravity. And we'll go for further explanations, deeper explanations. But I have got so many slides in this presentation. However, I would like to focus on very few slides and we will discuss more and I'll explain more about those slides. And as and when required, then I will go back and forth on the slide. So that's one thing I would like to share before I start my presentation. And the second thing is, I assumed so many things for my explanation, used them as a catalyst. So I would like to talk about them also during my course. So those two things I would like to mention. Then we will start. Not happening. What happened?
The screen has gone out. Presentation has gone out.
Okay, yeah, that's what I saw. Sorry about that. So let me redo this.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming again. Yeah, that's what I said. So the bandwidth here is pretty weak today because of the rains. So
Right.
okay. Hmm. So we all know about the, the Shadangas and 4 Vedas and Shadangas. And every Veda, we have got 4 Vedas, and as at least a class word has 4 Vedas. And every Shastra, every Veda has got the 4 parts to it, like the Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishads. To analyze this one, to understand this one, we have got 6 Vedangas. Those are all the Siksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Nirupam, Chandas, and Jyotisha. I'm not going to explain any of this, just to bring everyone onto the same page for the rest of my presentation. The way I analyzed this using all of this. So I studied a bit of all of this, and whatever I said, it will be one of the pramanas in one of the shastras. So the next one is we have got 6 brahmanas. One is a pratyaksha, next is an anumana, upamana, shabda, ardhapati, and anupalabdhi. Because you are all are advanced students in Sanatana Dharma, this is pretty rudimentary. However, I would like to highlight one thing. Shabda, for me, it is a Shabda is the ultimate pramana, and I believe Veda is the ultimate pramana. It is impeccable and immaculate. And if I don't understand something, that means that I have to research more to understand that particular verse or particular mantra, rather than concluding controversially or contradictingly what Veda is trying to say. So that's my stand. Veda is impeccable. So then we have got 6 darshanas: Nyaya, Vaiseshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purvamimamsa, and Uttaramimamsa. So all these 6 things talk about different things, but more or less, all things around this Brahman and nature of Jiva, nature of Jagat, and Moksha are liberation as applicable. When I said Jagat, it is the Jayate Gachite, the Jagat. So the one which, so that is the dynamism of the universe, rather than the it's a one-time event. It is a cyclical event. That's what it talks about. When I said the dynamism, that's what the Jagat is for. The next one is, okay. So let's talk about where this Arunprasna and what exactly it is for, and some little introduction about the Arunprasna. So basically, it is housed in Krishna Yajurveda, Taitrika Shaka Aranyakam, and it has got 32 anvakas with 132 mantras. Then basically it is talk about the Suryopasana. However, it covers the whole entire universe, mantras related to the universe also, way beyond sun and solar system. Also, this is also known as a Suryopanishad, and it is conveniently practiced for life enhancement, progeny, having children, removal of eye disorders, banishment of untimely death, that is Kalamurtyu. Then, of course, there are so many other benefits also. It is basically predominantly does people do come over, get over all these ailments. So the wide variety of subjects also covered while explaining. Oh, come on. Why it is so tough today? That's the problem. Give me 1 second, it's coming up again.
It's not changing.
It is not changing. Again, it's unshared actually suddenly.
No, I can see it.
Oh, you can see this? It's okay.
Yeah, we can see it. You can go slide by slide.
You go slide by slide instead of running it.
Okay. Or maybe this is good. Is this good enough?
Yeah.
Right. Only switch off that feedback. Yeah. Feedback to Microsoft is also coming.
Slightly, little more.
Okay. So let
Pull
me
the
see.
bar.
That's what.
And also feedback to Microsoft, that you can
Switch off.
switch off, that into, press it on into. It may go off.
Which one is it, sir?
On the right hand side, feedback to Microsoft. You see on
Like
your
this?
right side. No, what I mean is on the right part of your screen, Feedback to Microsoft is written. You can't see?
I cannot see this. Sorry.
Is it? What is on your right side? Nothing.
Right side, it's saying there's nothing actually.
I can see feedback to Microsoft. We need your help and all those things.
Oh, okay. Unfortunately, because I think probably that's because you are the host.
Is it so? Babu Garu?
I think so.
Yeah, I am
I
also
cannot
seeing
see.
it.
Others also seeing it.
Oh, all I can see here is mute, stop video. That's also on the top. Security, participants, chat, new share.
No, not that, not that. And in the main screen itself, the screen is divided into 3 parts. On the left-hand side, slide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that in a vertical fashion.
Oh,
and in the
okay.
middle
I
part,
understand what you're saying. So this one, okay, okay. You can okay, attach my logs. Highly, we need help. Submit. Okay.
that's
Right.
all. That's all. Okay.
This is good. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I can make it a little bigger. Okay. This is good.
Okay.
Make it slightly small.
A smaller. Okay. This is good.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that. So, okay. So far we good. So 6 darshanas. So when I talk about this Purvamimamsa and Uttarmimamsa, this is mostly for Mimamsakas. It talks about the Mimamsa. We will touch upon it a little bit, not too much, while I continue the presentation. The next one is, so what is this Mimamsaka and Apurva? These are a Rinsaprabhu. So what this Mimamsaka says is, Veda being Anadi, it is timeless. Then Apaurishaya, unauthorized by anyone. Then also it says Swatah Pramana. So it is valid in and of itself. Whatever it said is that's about it. There is no debate on that. I mean, we can debate, but ultimately that is the truth. The last one is, it's more in most important one is infallible Shabd. There is nothing wrong with it. No one can blame on it. No one can misinterpret it. It's absolute truth. Then it comes in my Arunprasna, then my frameworks. So out of so many literature, so much of literature, so much of translation, so much of interpretations, commentaries, why this book? What is the new thing that I brought into this literature world is I used certain frameworks for every possible group of either one mantra or group of related mantras to analyze scientifically. So so what I really meant is, if the Veda mantras talk about a story, it is basically just trying to convey something which is a subtle, and instead of explain that subtle concept, it is using a story form. So first, I would like to identify what is the subject of the mantra or the group of related mantras. Then I will acquire all the knowledge around that subject. If subject is about the agriculture, I would like to know more about the agriculture. Once I know well enough on the agriculture, and once I know word to word meaning of the mantra, then I try to relate those two. Any gap in these two, that's not going to work. It is not a paripurna work. It's a half-cooked, half-baked or half-cooked food. So that's no good. It's not useful. So whatever topic I perceive, then I would like I research on that particular topic and research on these mantras and try to correlate those two. So that's the basic framework that I used. That way you may see a different explanation completely to the traditional meanings. Then I discovered many topics. But this particular book is only 6 topics that I cover. One is Bhumi, Vayu Mandala, the atmosphere, Varsha, what rains, Gurutvakarshana, the gravity, Surya Rasmi, the electromagnetic radiation, and Yajna that is quantum entanglement. Then today we will talk about 2 topics. One is Earth. If time permits, I will also talk about the gravity. So I will give you this science background a little bit, not too much. Then I will go to the traditional interpretation. I may not go through the traditional interpretation for this lecture, but directly I'll jump into the Veda mantras, the way I interpret. So there are so many hypotheses on how Earth is formed, how a universe is formed, and how it is moving, and how it is going to be dissolved, and all kinds of stuff. One is a Big Bang theory, Big Bounce theory, and periodic theory. These are all different explanations. And based on all this, they found out this universe is 13.8877 billion years old. I mean, this is a calculation. It is, I mean, there is no way someone can verify this one. This is based on some calculations and assumptions. And they also had a model for how the solar system is formed. So there is a, the solar nebula, interstellar gas, then the gravity, then it is all collapsed and started forming objects and all that. This is very important for us because this is one hypothesis. There is no guarantee this is the only thing, this is how exactly it is happening. And so they said the solar system is formed out of solar nebula. Nebula was interstellar gas dust created by Big Bang. An external event initiated. See, this is the assumption they made. Then external event initiated the gravity collapse of nebula. So then this collapse subsequently led into the formation of protoplanetary disk. So this is a disk. Then they said there's a center of the disk further collapsed to form the sun. Then they said rest of the disk formed other planets, solar system, including the Earth. This is the scientific model out of the so many models, and this is one model, and which is more popular model. Then they explained how Earth is formed based on how all these elements has formed, evolved using the this is called nucleogenesis. So they said this is, if it is a proton and this is a neutron, these are all gluons. These are the gluons. These wave things are called gluons, and U and D called quarks, up quarks and down quarks. And if you notice, these two U are up and one D, this is proton, and there are 2 Ds and 1 U, this is neutron. That's the difference between these two. And also there is this very slight difference in the weight. But they said, okay, from here, there are different combinations of number of protons, number of neutrons, electrons around it. And they formed all these, they believe that, there is fusion between different atoms and new atoms formed. I mean, all kinds, they created an entire a big universe, big science around how Earth is formed based on certain assumptions. So one interesting thing is it's all around hydrogen. So this is one proton, right? One proton with one hydrogen. Then the interaction among the hydrogen nuclei formed helium. From here, and then they formed, when the universe formed lithium, then beryllium came into picture. Then isotopes of hydrogen, deuterium and tritium came into picture. And subsequently, all other elements, what we see in the periodic table, came into existence. So there is so many theories about the Earth, how Earth is formed and how water came into existence on Earth. Because no other planet, I mean, some planet doesn't even have any water. There is no clue that there is a water on Earth. Some planets are full of waters even today. Some planets are full of snow. Some planets has got some greenery, but we do not know what the green really meant. Some remote planets that scientists are finding. So, but other than Earth, we did not find any clue that there is life existing in any other planet, in any other system. I'm like, if not solar system, if it's not our Milky Way galaxy, in any galaxy. So then so these are all the beliefs. So some believe more than half of the water on the Earth is older than the sun itself. some believe the water came via icy planetesimal that collided with Earth. Some believe water was trapped within the rocky material that collided from the Earth. It is believed that most of the water turned into water vapor during the Earth's hot and molten state, and eventually came down to rain when the Earth is collapsed or cooled down. These are all theories. We do not know what is the truth. So then there is another explanation, very good explanation, how life is formed on Earth. That's called abiogenesis. So these are all things. So let us focus on what our Arunam says about all this. So Arunam runs around discussion between Vatsa Mahamuni and his disciples. So disciples ask questions and Vatsamana answers those questions. And of course, there are so many rishis being mentioned, so many students also been mentioned in this one, but we'll pay attention more onto the Vatsa Mahamuni. So the Earth formation related mantras starts from the 23rd Anuvaka. Abhava Yatamasan Salilameva, all the way to the Tadeva no Pravishati Evam Veda. So 15 mantras. Okay. And the 15 mantras, it starts about the creation process. Before the world that we see around was created, there existed Salilam only, and not gods, humans, or any other Panchabhutas, the material form. Then Adhunata, this is the cosmic turbulence. I will talk about all of them. Then the summary, then he explains about the summary of Earth's creation. Then he talks about the benefit of such knowledge. So knowledge actually gives the benefit, and that's a separate discussion, separate research. But for now, we'll take it for granted that this verse is very important verse, because with the knowledge itself will give you so many benefits. Okay, we'll talk about that later. But before we jump in, we would like to see what our science explains how the Earth is today. Okay, so there is a small little animation. So this is our space. I mean, is this correct? Difficult to say. Hypothetically, I mean, it is just for the imagination. If you see all this, you do not know whether it is really an ocean with full of waves, the way we see from the shore, or it is really the space. It is actually this space. All these dots which are glittering, those are all either stars or galaxies. So this is how our universe is. Why it is like waves, full of waves? This is because of the uneven distribution of mass and energy. So this is what scientists proposed. So we also have, okay, then we'll talk about a little bit more. How the space is. It's like a fabric. So if you imagine the fabric, if you stretch a fabric and start putting weights, based on the weight, you see the tip. So it has, Earth is more heavier than Moon. So it has got larger tip. See, if you see in this screen, you see a dip for a bigger mass, smaller for small, and very tiny for very tiny mass. One more thing we need to understand is, see, this is Sun. So Sun is a lot more heavier than Earth. So you look at this, how much curvature it has compared to Earth's curvature around this. Then another thing we need to be very careful is all the two-dimensional diagrams that we pictures what we saw when we are in school is a circle, and around the top circle, and Earth is rotating around the Sun. But actually, this is Earth and this is Sun. Sun actually moves. So this is the motion of Earth. It is not exactly rotating around the Sun in the same orbit. It's not right. It's not like that. It is like this, like a fence, right? Spiralic fence. So, and anything else we need to know? Okay, we may need to know one more. I mean, it is very similar with the more galaxies. This is what we need to know. Keeping that in mind, then let us jump on here. So now Arunprasna starts with a story. The story is Paramatma is sitting and sleeping on a lotus leaf, and suddenly he got up. Then when he got up, he said, okay, let me start, creating the universe. And when he started working, then he started doing tapasya. Tapasya, in the sense, it is not, tapasya is not, it is basically he is articulating how to create this particular universe. That's what the deep thinking basically. So once he has articulated everything, architected everything, okay, this is how I want this universe to be. The moment he opened his eyes, then he saw a tortoise. He thought he already created the turtle. Then there is a small dialogue between them saying that I created you. Then they said, no, you did not create, I'm existing all over. You just got this form. Then Paramatma is actually surprised. Prajapati is actually who is actually sleeping on the lotus leaf is surprised. Then he realizes he is the Sahasraksha, Sahasrapada, Adi Vishnu, or whoever you call, Almighty, the ultimate Brahman. Then he requests him to create the universe. Then the turtle formed Paramatma actually starts creating the universe. How did he create the universe? When he created this universe, first he starts from the earth, because we are on earth, he starts from the earth. So it is full of water. So this is full of water. It is just water, there's nothing. Then, as I explained in the earlier slides, in here, so out of this gravity, the dust actually started due to gravity and the collisions and all kinds of combinations of stuff, events in space. Some objects started becoming bigger, and because they absorbed the other objects. The same way, here also. So initially the earth is of this size, and it started increasing. And if you see this picture, this is water, and this is also water. But if you see this artistic view, it is a slight shiny light is there. Then it is land mass is formed. It is underneath the water. It is not yet come to the surface. So at this level, it came onto the surface. Now, we will talk more elaborately about this. So Prajapati, the mantra says, so the Paramatma takes a handful of water and pours it back and says, sun, get up from the east. So when he invoked sun came from one direction, the direction became east. Then he did offered one more handful of water and asked Agni to rise from the south. And another handful of water offered, and then he said, wind to come from the west. And one more handful, Indra to be invoked from the north. Then one more handful of water being offered to ask landmass to emerge from the waters. Then another handful of water been offered to get all the devatas in the top layers of the earth, and the Pitaras, Gandharvas, and all that above there. And when he poured water up, there is unintentionally some water has been spilled from the gaps of the hand. And then they rose at three things: Pisachas, Rakshasas, and some other demons. This is the story. Then he said, but universe is still not stable. It's all over. It's running all over. Then he said, okay, let me get into the entire universe and bring the stability. So that's the story. And this story is being chanted during the Aruna mantras, and all other places also. Interesting. And there is offerings been a lot of stuff will be offered to the Agni when you're chanting this mantra. Why? The first question I asked is why? If when you say a story, for the story you are putting offering some, then my first question is why did we do? Then I imagine two things. This is where I said in the very beginning, I assume a lot of things, right? So I assume certain things, third elements which are not mentioned in the book, in the mantras. I use them as a catalyst, right? In the chemical reaction, when we do chemical experiments, we use catalyst to aggravate for various purposes. But the catalyst will come out of the process. What are the catalysts that I used? Two things. One, I imagined two observers. One observer is north side. One observer is me. So when I said me, that means I am seeing the earth. When I'm seeing the earth, my north is my left hand side. Okay, that's my assumption. So I imagine what was the position of earth when the Prajapati did not ask the sun to raise, right? So then I assumed only south is focusing on sun, facing sun. When it is rotating around the sun, the axis is north-south. So if you see even though it is not a complete diagram, but this should be enough for us to imagine what I'm trying to say. This is the half hemisphere, half of the earth, right? This is the only one being exposed to the sun. The other part is never exposed to the sun. It's all frozen or it's all completely cold. It never saw the sun. So Prajapati, I assumed, is here, sitting on a lotus leaf or sleeping on his lotus leaf. Then I am another observer, which I'm looking at exactly the solar system exactly like this, right? Then let's recollect all the mantras. So when I recollect the mantras, he said, sun to arise from the east. So what exactly that mean? Where is the east here? If I say north and south, east is here. Oh, sorry. East is here. So what does it really mean? That means whatever is unexposed or partially exposed, if you can imagine, he want that to be he want that portion to see the sun. That's what it is. Sun is not raising anywhere. We all know that sun is there, but it is earth is actually rotating around itself. And when it is rotating around itself, sometimes it is some half of the time it is exposed to the sun, half of the time it is exposed to the moon. So that we know, right? Whatever knowledge we know today, if you imagine back at that time where it is never been exposed, then I thought maybe he is talking about this tilt. So let us say this south is come down the way we have today. This north went up the way we have today. So where is my east? East is here, and my west is coming here. So if this is north and this is south, this is east and this is west. Then, so this is anyway extremely hot because of the sun, being exposed to the sun. So then that south is representing hot, the Agni, it came in down here. Then it also said north is completely cold. And he said north to come this side up. Then the sun, east is exposed to sun and west. What is west? Wind. He evoked wind from the west. That means it started spinning. It is spinning in what direction? Whenever we say direction, western winds, it starts with west and goes to the opposite direction. That means west to east. So if I imagine, if I'm the observer, so after shaping this one, then it is started rotating like this. So anti-clockwise. For being observer on my side, it is anti-clockwise. This diagram is not completely, maybe a little confusing because this is the plane. If this is the plane, it has to be perpendicular, but I don't have a way to draw it easily. So that's why I put it in two-dimensional. So maybe it is confusing. The how to imagine is this is the plane, and this is how the earth. This is how the earth is. So it is actually cutting. It's perpendicular. So if I imagine this, then I covered all the four directions. Then comes in my earth. So where is my earth? This is full of water. Then Prajapati said, when Bhagavan said, land must come from the bottom. He pours some water on right on below and asked the earth to arose from the waters. So this is how whatever is inside, then it came up. So this is the first land. When Paramatma said it is only one landmass. So we call it Poligi or whatever. It's supercontinent. Supercontinent. So we covered 5. Then also Devatas. What is invoked? Devatas in the top. Why Devatas on the top? Why not somebody else? Because those are the ones which are the atmospheric layers are the ones which are protecting us from the dangerous electromagnetic radiation coming from either sun or other cosmic objects or other stars. They are continuously coming, whether we like it or not, whether we observe it or not, whether we know it or not. But somebody have to protect it. So whoever is protecting, we call them Devatas. And also they are invisible to us, right? So we call them Devatas. If we know someone is protecting us, we call them as God. And if we do not know someone who is protecting to us, but still protecting, we call them as God. So Devatas. So these Devatas come, but these Devatas is not one layer. So they have got layers, right? Devatas, Pitaras, Gandharvas. Gandharva Ganas in the top layer, and then subsequently all other different Devatas came in between Gandharva Devatas and the land mass of the earth, like the land mass of the earth. So this is how. Now what is this Pisachas doing here? He also created Pisachas, so right? These Pisachas basically mentioned is not, not a wrong shape, that ill-shaped, that are demons the way we see in the picture. These are the ones which are actually bringing balance to the temperature. If it is a completely cold, if there is no temperature, then it is a icy planet. People cannot, life cannot survive. And if it is completely hot, with 1,000 degrees, there is no life either. So you have to have balance between balance of temperature, right? From extreme colds to the extreme hot heat, right? So that's the difference. That's why it is Devatas and Rakshasas. They always fight each other. They are fighting each other for our benefit because they are bringing balance to our temperatures or a better living atmosphere. So now, what is this Paramatma actually, himself came into existence? This is a form, right? Now let's go back in here. Okay. We all know the very wonderful story of Kshirosagar Madaram story, right? So they started churning the earth, mountain, Meru mountain, to get the ambrosia, Amrit. So basically what they are trying to explain, then what I believe what it's trying to explain is adhunata, sariram adhunata. So that's what I mentioned in one of my slides, right? So sariram adhunata. This is very important because in Arunprasna is actually mentioned, Paramatma is actually, what you call, stretched his body. But he is stretching, he's not fighting with anybody. Then why did he stretch his body? When he shake his body, that shake is, I can explain that shake here. So this is our sun and this is our earth. And now we have to imagine that we are during this state of formation of these different planets, and while it is forming, that's what the third imagination that I did is, there may be an object which ran in between these two. Okay, like any I mean, this is one sun, right? So if an object runs between these two, what will happen? What will happen? So this is, so we already know, this is moving, right, like this. So imagine you have got a bigger object and another small object here, and another object runs through here. Obviously, it will go under, it will underwent turbulence. Why? Because of this space-time nature of this space-time nature of the universe. So imagine there is an object goes in between them. Because it's a bigger mass, it might not undergo too much turbulence, but this does. So that turbulence, what I thought is adhunata, sariram adhunata. That's what I thought. Sariram adhunata means there is a cosmic turbulence happen for good. That turbulence actually brought our Earth north-south axis to the tilted axis. Then we started having seasons because of this improper uneven distribution of cold and hot, and also it is moving. We got our seasons. So this is we got our seasons. Then with the seasons, then Paramatma says one after the other, we know what this is our evolution, and this is our Aruna Mantra's evolution process. So there is a Salilam, there is a Prajapati, and Prajapati, before creating anything, he created species. I think he's talking about the conscious receptors, and then Apaha, Rakshasas. This is also Aditya, Agni, Vayu, Indra, this Panchabhutas, Pusha, Devatas, and Gandharvas, and the Manavas, the life form. And then one after the other, when the life form came in, he explains that the plants, humans, four-legged animals, reptiles, everything is evolved the way we see it today. Or some of them are extinct already, but that is how we evolved. Because the key for this one is the atmosphere and the balance of the temperature. And the tilt, you need the seasons as well. So this is the process. So what I believe is, very interestingly, we say namaskaras to these directions. Namah praschetise, rakshanadise, prachitise, udiyetise, urdhvatise, adhadise, avantarayetisaya, chadevadayete, samprithvasindita, pischanamo namaha. Mantra is very common. And also there are very similar mantras for every direction. Why? Direction is, you cannot, whatever is east for me, for somebody, it is maybe somebody at the same time, it is something else. Why are we actually really praying for directions? We are praying directions because of this. We don't want this to become this. We don't want this to be reversed. The moment it reverts like this, there is no existence, because there are no seasons, and this will be frozen, everyone will be died, and this is completely exposed without atmosphere, and it will die. So that's why we don't, because it came from position A to position B, we don't want it go back to position B to position A. That's why we want our directions to protect our Earth, to stay in their own places. That means basically in a different way. We want the Earth to rotate the way it is rotating today, rather than what it was maybe millions of years, maybe billions of years. I don't know when did this happen, but what I say is, from position A is very dangerous. It is not, we cannot survive. Now you can imagine what I'm saying. Position A, looking at the moon. So moon is rotating around itself, right? It has got spin of its own, and also it is rotating around moon. However, we never see the other side of the moon. So only one portion of the Earth is moon is exposed to moon. Sorry, one portion of the moon is exposed to Earth. The other side of the moon is never been exposed to Earth. Same way, only one portion, at one point, only some half of the Earth is exposed to the sun, and half never saw sun. They don't even know, the observer from here doesn't even know there is somebody called sun. So this is about Bhumi. Very similarly, interestingly, we'll talk about very quickly about the gravity. We have got two gravity concepts. One is Newtonian gravity, the other one is Einstein gravity. He said Earth has got some attractive power, and it attracts everything. Whichever goes up, it will come down because of Earth's gravity. Then Einstein came and said there is no powers to Earth as such to pull. There is no powers as such. It is just matter of how the space is. So he said, because of the nature of the uneven distribution of mass and energy around in the space, things are moving, and bigger one will have more deep, right? Then this guy will be rotating like this around this one, because every object is moving. And these are all rolling, because while it is rolling, it is forming a shape. So the Wheeler, see, the Wheeler very well articulated the whole thing. Matter tells space-time how to curve. That means if it is heavier, it has to more deeper. It has to go more deeper. That's how what matter says to the space-time. Space-time tells matter to how to move, because it is continuously, there is an uneven distribution, and space will dictate, space will give you the route to the mass, to the object. So that's how he articulated, and it's pretty well articulated. This is what there's, that's the science is today. And it's pretty much pretty well established, even though there are some exceptions. Now let's see on the same topic what our Matsamuni and his disciples said. So one fine evening, then these students started asking, first they started, they saw the clouds. Abhram means water. Vedam Abhram, so the water-filled clouds. Where are they? Then they said, where are the sunrays? Where are the sunrays are residing actually? Then, or where are the units of time such as a day? They said, where are they? We cannot. We can ask when the questions about the time comes in, we'll ask what time it is, how much time it is, but we never ask where is the time. He asked. So interestingly, he said, Kala, Sriveshante, all the time units or the time to be specific, is residing in Apsu. Apsu is nothing but space-time. So if I define Apsu as a space-time, then let's see what all other mantras actually started interpreting. Here they'll ask, where are the water-bearing clouds are residing? We all know that gravity pulls down, like Earth gravity will pulls everything down. So, but water get evaporated with the sunlight, and it goes up and forms clouds, and they'll go up. But if really they go up, why are they not going indefinitely away from Earth? That's the question they asked. Why? who is actually stopping? If it is there, what is that? Then they say, then traditional explanations, I'm not commenting on traditional explanations, I'll rightly jump in based on the time we have. So this is what my contribution is. We all know, we already mentioned that, this is space, what AL2 is a space-time. Now imagine this is the three-dimensional object can be articulated by identified by x1, y1, z1, 3 coordinates. But Einstein introduced fourth dimension. He said, okay, let us consider this is all one unit. This is called space unit, sthiti. Then all this we'll put in one dimension, sthiti dimension. Then we will put kala dimension on another axis. Then we will measure sthiti with respect to time. That's what it is. That's what he did. So if this is for an observer, then observer sitting in here and observing two different events in space. In space, everything is called events. So these are spatial events. So this event happened at x1, y1, z1 at time t1 for him. And this one happened x2, y2, z2 sthiti at time t2. Can an event happen here in the dashed area? Never. It can never happen. That's why it is dashed, because this is speed of light. Nothing can go beyond speed of light. So any event can take, whatever event can take place, it has to happen only here. Okay. So given that, what our mantra says. The other meaning for, okay, first let us consider what, okay, now, yeah, this is the same. Now let's consider what we have said about the antariksham. AL2 is antariksham, ambaram, akasham, samudraha, etc. But each has got a meaning. Why we said akasham is the one which provides opportunity for objects to stay. So this gives you an opportunity for every planet, universe, galaxy to stay. Ambaram means the one that wraps around the objects. We will talk about it a little bit more elaborately in just a second. Samudram, the one which flows upwards as we see in the oceanic waves. Then okay, now Ambaram. So imagine there is an earth like this, right? So we say Urdhva Disa. Devatas are in Urdhva. So let us say it is it's my hand is right round in shape. Just imagine. And I am right here, and I'm praying up. These are all my devatas. At the same time, so this is India, and this is yours. So a person actually standing here and praying up, saying that all the devatas in the up, in the upside direction, right? So he is praying devatas here, he is praying devatas here. And similarly, in every direction, everyone is praying. However, where are the devatas is up? Actually not. It's actually around the earth, all around the earth. Okay, it's pervading. That is called warping. Sorry, it is called warping of space-time, right? So it's coming from all directions. Let us say what the mantras actually talk about. Okay, so with given this introduction, let's go. Kala Apshini Vichante. Then he said. Then they asked, what is actually holding the earth and the clouds? They call, I mean, this, they also called the, starting from the clouds and above is called Swarga sometimes. Swargam is called heavens. Sometimes it's called Indraloka, sometimes called Gandharva Loka, sometimes called all the lokas. But imagine, I mean, just for the discussion's sake, from the Varuna layer, which is the troposphere, all the way to the Gandharva layer, which is magnetosphere, all this is Swarga. All this is Devadasa's place. And with my research on the book, I put Varuna layer, Rudra layer, which is ozone layer, then Indra layer, which is stratosphere. Then we have got Pituras layer, then all other layers. Then most importantly, we have got the Gandharva layer. So this is my articulation, my understanding of the Veda mantras for the Vayu mantra. But for now, we will imagine all this is heaven, right? So we have the earth and we have the heaven. In between, there is a space. Who is holding this Swarga and the earth? Then Vatsamuni said, Vishnu. Vishnu is the one who is holding this heaven and earth. Then Vishnuna Vidrute Bhumi iti Vaisampayana Vasyasya Vedana. Vedana means he is with his experience. Vedana is experience. And Mano Vedana is your experience, right? Whatever is my heart is experience. So he experienced, and this experience is actually explaining the question. Then if this, then they said, okay, I understand Vishnu is holding these two. How about all other ones? Then he said, it is not only, Vishnu is not only holding, sitting in between like this, is also holding earth and heaven from all sides. Abhitaha mayukai. This is what it is. Dadardha prithvi mabhitoho mabhito mayukaihi. Abhitaha mayukaihi. Basically, this is called Abhitaha mayuk. Now, what is Abhitaha now? As I explained earlier, for everyone is up, everyone's up is now it's around, right? Now it is all sides, it is pushing earth and holding earth and heaven. So for the word Mayuka, Mayukaihi, there are two explanations by two scholars. Sainacharya mentioned it is a thread-like thing. The one with somebody is holding with a thread so strongly that object will stay where they are staying. Similarly, Lakshmi Narasimha Sastri Garu actually mentioned about it is those two, earth and around this atmosphere was nailed, like they were as tight as they were nailed together. So that's the explanation they give, traditional explanation they give. But now let's imagine, now earth is here, atmosphere is here, and Vishnu is protecting from all sides, as well as in between. So this is called warping of space, warping the objects. It is what Einstein mentioned. This three-dimensional grid gives a better idea of what curvature space might look like the two-dimensional analogy do. So look at this, when the mass is here, the space is pulled inside. So all, if you can imagine, all these are, all sides is called Abhitaha. This is our Mayukai. So this is my conclusion on the how I interpret these mantras and gravity. Okay, Vadat Vishnu Balamahu. He said, they asked, okay, if Vishnu is holding, how did Vishnu got his strength to hold? Then Vatsamahamani mentioned Vataha. It is this. So this is Vata. To me, this is Vata. The uneven, because of this uneven distribution of mass and energy in space, this Vataha, right? So objects will move from one place to another place as if wind moves objects. So if that is the case, then what I am saying is, this is Vataha. And this entire thing is Apsu. These are all single ones are Mayokaihi. Abhitaha means all sides, and which is holding the earth and heavens, right? Vataha strength comes from the Vataha, Vataha, which means that which moves or transports. So Vataha could refer to the ripples caused as cosmic objects move in space-time fabric. In other words, the strength comes from the medium with the peaks and troughs as waves hold the whole creation. Then they asked, who are his helpers? I know Vayu is his strength. Is anybody helping it? Oh, then they said what someone said, oh yeah, Agni and Vayu are supported by Vishnu. Could be various quantum fields, space-time fabric, or yet to known quantum force fields, and things like that. So what basically he mentioned is everything in this universe is actually helping Vishnu to hold everything in the universe. So this is what the essence of a Vishnu Sahasranam also. It's surprising, very interesting. So whatever is been created is actually helping the creation the way it is here today. It is existing today. So Agni, Vayu, as well as all other devatas. So the mantras, it says all the mantras, all the devatas are also helping Vishnu to help as a helpers to hold this universe, all the objects, earth and the heavens tightly together. So that's why that is my explanation, scientific explanation of those mantras. So we have this space-time concept thousands of years ago. And we also know the space-time, not only space-time, that is the one which is actually making all these objects move, and it is actually all around. It warps any objects. Gravity actually warps the objects. We already know that, but we never explicitly mentioned anywhere. So Einstein got, for the same concept, Einstein got his Nobel Prize, or even more, you see. So this is my conclusion. Basically, what I'm saying is, we have got these 4 Mahamantras, right? With the one Upanishad from each Veda, we have got Prajnanam Brahma from Rig Veda, Aham Brahmasmi from Yajurveda, Tattvamasi from Samaveda, Ayamatma Brahma is from Atharvan Veda. We have got exhaustive commentary on all these 4. Of course, this is the basis for the Vedas, each Veda. But what I'm trying to say is, we need to also analyze Kala statements like Kala Apsinivishante. Doesn't make any sense if you literally translate. If Kala Apsinivishante means if you take Apsu as water, if I dive into a swimming pool, I don't get time. If it is deep enough, I may be an extinct. I may. So if I dive into the ocean, I don't find time. So that is literally cannot be translated as this. So we need to do a lot of research. Statements like this: Vatad Vishnor Balmaho, Agni Evayavastiva, Edadasya Parayanam. What are, we need to write the commentary on this, keeping the current science in mind. That way, I believe that will connect to the next generation, because that's the language, what they know is the science. So let us start, find out, Veda Panditas, scientists, and Samskrita Panditas come together, revisit all the Veda mantras, and see what we find scientifically, so that we can connect to our next generation. And not only next generation, even our generation, because I do not know anything much about, a lot more things, I don't know a lot more things. Even I wanted to know. And more importantly, I would like my next generation to be connected with our Vedic knowledge. So this is what my proposal is. And with that, I will stop and I will open the stage for question and answers.
Okay. Thank you, Sitaram Garu. Now, if some people want to ask any questions, we will open the forum. You can raise. There are some questions in the chat box also.
Okay, let me just quickly open.
Now we will read it out. You can answer them.
Okay.
Chala Chittibabu garu, can you?
Yeah. The first very question is in Arunprasna. Prashna means question or it has some other meaning?
Some other meaning, sir. It is not just question. So according to Samvedangaru, Prashna itself is deep analysis is called Prashna.
Right.
So thinking very deeply is called Prashna. It's not question. Basically, if you can articulate in English, it may be the contemplation kind of.
Okay, thank you. The other question is, where was Brahman sitting to create sun, fire, etc.? And what happened to tortoise further?
I think, see, okay, very good question, actually. So these are all the things, the way I assumed certain things, right? Veda also brought certain elements which to make people understand in an easy way. Because imagine I come to a stage or a Sri Ramanavami stage and one of the Navaratris, and I started talking about science. No one will turn up. Even though it is very important, no one will turn up. So I believe our ancestors actually found that, I mean, it is for public, you have to be with them, right? So the easy way to connect is objects like, Paramatma and all that stuff, to explain a message, to give a message. For that, they used Paramatma, Tatal, and all kinds of stuff, lotus leaf and all. But we cannot question on those because, I mean, these are all symbolic. Why turtle? Turtle has got 4 limbs, right? 4 legs and a head. It can cease to exist. I mean, even it can pull all 5 and can go dormant for years or hundreds of years. It will live one of the longest. I mean, it can live for a very long years, right? Like thousands of years. Another thing is it pull everything inside, stay dormant and come back. So that is also a symbolic. Usually, if you, that's what I believe. So these are all symbolic. And Prajapati, Paramatma is also, I mean, just to let you know that somebody is actually created. But if you question where did the lotus leaf came, no one can answer that question. Because if the thing is there, where is the lotus leaf came all of, out of nowhere, right? So that's a question. So like the way I assumed it too. I mean, why I assumed here, that's my assumption to make all my mantras make sense. And I also assumed another observer, the way I'm sitting here, right? Why did I do that? Because otherwise the wind doesn't make any sense. That west winds from the west, from west to east, it's only for me sitting in this direction, looking at this direction, western winds make sense, right? But for others, even if in a different direction, it may not make sense. So I made some assumptions. So same thing, and that's what I thought. These people also made some characters. They introduced some characters, some objects or some animals, whatever is necessary, and to explain actually the concept.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the relation of Big Bang theory in the formation of Earth? Has it come from water?
So there are 2 states to this. Now in the book, actually I mentioned, when Arunam says, Apsu, Apaha, we got to be careful because sometimes they're all used interchangeably. Sometimes they're very specific use. So Salilam, according to Shainacharya and a lot of other scholars, Salilam is an element that exists before these Panchabhutas actually emerged, right? So what is that element? We cannot explain with these Panchabhutas because these are all has got limitation. Akasha has got a limitation. Air has a limitation, Agni has a limitation, water has a limitation, material has a limitation. So with these limited limitations, we cannot explain what they actually come from. We can intuit certain things, but whatever explanation we'll give, I don't know whether it is right or wrong because there's no verification process. So what they said, Salilam is a state. which is prior to existence of all these Panchabhutas. But sometimes Sariram is just water. Sometimes Sariram is an element or that which existed before these Panchabhutas existed. So.
Okay. Just a minute.
Yeah, so
Sir.
some questions, sorry, go
Right.
ahead.
Yeah, it's coming. In tune with Earth's rotation, Ashta Dikpalakas to move. Please inform. I mean, the question is not properly placed. In tune is Ashta Dikpalakas in tune with the Earth's rotation or something like that.
In tune with Earth's rotation, Dikpalas
To move.
to move.
They
They
also
also move, or
move.
no, they don't move.
Right.
Sorry, can you explain one more time? What?
In tune with Earth's rotation, does Ashta Dikpalakas also move?
Yes. Okay, so that's why, okay, one thing we got to be careful is with what reference we are talking about. So Arunprasna, even though it explains about the universe a little bit, then it quickly concentrates on Earth. When it concentrates on Earth, I mean, of course, what I forgot to tell you is, apart from these 4 directions, Arunam also mentions about the all other 4 directions. So it's actually about all the Dasa Dishas, Urdham, Adham also, where we explained about Narayana Upanishad. They said Antar Bahischa Narayanaha, Alascha Narayanaha, Urdhvascha Narayanaha, Adascha Narayanaha, Antar Bahischa Narayanaha. Same way, this earth is this earth has got all 10 directions, not just 8. So, but that's with a reference. If you ignore the reference, then you may lose certain directions. Okay, so if an observer completely far away from the earth and looking at it, there is no urdhva and adaha for it, right? Because when I move away from it, for me it is a simple object. And if I go up, there is no down. I mean, it's only down for me. There is no up of earth direction, right? So that's why the observer this is where is the observer is very important. The location of the observer is very important. But Arunam did mention about all the Upadeshas. I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
They all move from with the earth, with the reference of the earth. All these directions will go.
The other question is,
Ishanya,
why Swargaloka, Pitraloka, etc. will be
Mhm.
situated around and depend upon the earth? Are they not situated in different planes of consciousness or not different universe?
It is complete. Okay, at least the Arunprasna is only about the earth. And if you interpret these mantras in spiritual lines, we can do so, and then we can go with the consciousness. But we need, that's what I said in the very beginning, the framework that I used is either one mantra or group of related mantras. Say, for example, all the 23rd Anuvakam from the first 1 to 15 Anuvakas is talking about the earth formation. If I simply say, then there was all this consciousness, what about the other mantras? Are they also talking about the consciousness? That's the question we need to ask. That's the subject. So if your consciousness is the subject, then we need to reinterpret all these 15 mantras to fit in your consciousness. Otherwise, so that's not the topic. So I never looked at it as a consciousness. But if you put the consciousness, then you have to answer all these questions. We have to reinterpret all the 15 mantras to fit in your framework of consciousness. Framework with the subject as consciousness.
Okay. So the other question is, because of Vishnu, does the earth have gravity? That's the question. Because of Vishnu.
Yeah, Vishnu is not the Narayana. The Vishnu may not be, the Vishnu we imagine as a Lakshmi Pati, or the Lord Vishnu, the way we imagine, right? Here Vishnu is all pervading. Vishnu is the Shabda. Vishnu is the Shabda. And also it mentions that this Vishnu, 1/4, Eko Yaddare Deva Rajati Rojati Ubhe. This is one Narayana or one Vishnu. Only 1/4 is came into existence. Where he got his energy? He is getting energy from the other 3/4, which was not manifested. Unmanifested energy is 3/4, and 1/4 is only manifested. So what this 1/4 to the 3/4 is the energy which is giving him to control the manifestation. Okay, so it is formed and it is changing. So formation, he has got the same energy, used the energy, and it is keep on changing, ever changing, right? That's the constant thing. One thing constant in this world is change, right? So that change is also controlled by this 3/4 energy, which is not manifest. That's the mantra. That's one of the 15 mantras. So Vishnu is Vishnu is not a person actually. The way we worship as a Vishnu. Like a form. No, let me articulate correctly. It is not a shaped Vishnu as a person. It is a Vishnu is Almighty.
The other question is the excellent work on linking mantras and science. Is it first work on earth and gravity? Any other work also?
Oh, a lot
done?
of works actually. Yeah, as I mentioned, I mean, if we given time, I mean, quickly I can go over, because all other ones are also important. But I am more interested. I'm keep on talking about these two subjects most of the places, but there is a reason, because these are all the ones which we missed. All other ones is, I mean, all other religions also has got some explanation or the other for the atmospheric layers. So for example, if you talk about the Vayu Mandala, in my book, I mentioned about the ozone layer. So there is a story again. They talked about a story where they have got Indra and Rudra. They have got two bows, and they fought on the enemies or the demons, and both were tired, and Rudra was very angry about with the demons, and they killed everyone. But he tired, and he is resting on the bow, on the string, right? So his face is very furious. So if he opens his face, and he might, fight with his own devatas and own people. The story, this is our story, okay? So devatas were scared, and they requested Indra to do something. And this Indra actually assumed a mosquito form or a creature form, and he cut the string. When he cut the string with the tension, it cut the Rudra's head. When the Rudra's head is severed, he died actually. So what does really mean? I mean, this story, you can really buy this with our children. I don't know. So he's trying to tell something. What is he trying to tell you? So what I believe is, in the atmospheric layers, we have got the ozone layer. So ozone is basically a 3 atoms, right? 3 oxygen atoms, O3. So this O3 has got a particular shape, which is the polarity and angle, as well as the distance between these atoms. So if you cut this, if you believe, if you assume, you are imagine these two are the body and this is the head. If you sever this head, what will happen? You will get a free radical of oxygen and oxygen atom, O2 and O minus, right? And this is a constant process happening in the atmosphere. And one scientist from NASA actually depicted a nice picture around the world for the ozone layer. And it is the stratosphere is actually I mean, there is the temperature differences between the stratosphere and the troposphere, and in between there is an ozone layer. So the temperature from the stratosphere actually dips in like a dumbbell, and when that happens, the ozone layer will split. Ozone will split into oxygen and O2 and O minus, and then the temperature goes up at one certain seasons. Depends on where you are. Again, it will O2 and O minus will merge and forms ozone bank, and it's a continuous process. What I believe is that is what they're trying to say, because according to me, I put together all the layers in my book. First one is the Varuna layer, and then comes the ozone layer, then comes the Indra layer, then comes the Pitara layer, which is the thermosphere, and then comes the Gandharva layer. And I reasoned in my book, Gandharva layer, he said, Garagirahadi, he explained about Gandharva, he is the first line of defense. Mahadevas. So these are, if you think about all these are devatas, Mahadeva means Maha, whenever you use a Maha, imagine that there is a hierarchy and he is the top. So if it is a top, then Gandharva is the first, and also it mentions that it is first layer of defense. If it is the first layer of defense, that means Gandharva layer is the top and all other layers now. So based on these mantras, I put together a parallel to whatever we have today. And it may not exactly match and not necessarily to match. It is a different model, but with very similar characteristics. So, and I don't have the range, how much Gandharva layer is, how many miles of Gandharva layer spread and how many miles Indra layer being spread. I don't have the numbers as per the Arunprasna. So I put together Varuna, I put together this Vayu Mandala. So there are so many. Put Varsha. The most interesting is Varsha. I'm still researching on this Varsha, even after this Varsha is not the same H2O which goes up and comes down. So for example, imagine you have a bucket full of water and you go upstairs and pour the water down. It is the same water. If it is it the same thing with rain and water evaporates, condenses and precipitates down. If it is the same thing, why so big deal about it? We might as well, dig the canals and get the water down. Why we have got specific yajnas for rainwater? Because it's very important. In Arunprasna itself, they invite Varuna, Indra, with all his 4 elements. What are the 4 elements? Cloud, thunder, lightning, and rain. These are all 4 elements, right? He wanted thunder and lightning to come. Meaning what? It spreads so much of heat in the atmosphere. When it spreads so much of heat and produces so much of heat in the atmosphere, at that temperature, the nitrogen will split and mixes with oxygen and forms nitrogen. And that is called nitrogen fixation as per modern science. And our research envisioned this one. I wrote everything in the book. But most importantly, what also they said is, it is more nutritious when the cloud stays exposed to 3 days of sunlight and 3 nights of moonlight. What is that? No one has an answer for that one. Very clearly mentioned. So I wrote in the book. So I wrote about this one about the Varsha. And then the Suryasmi, this is electromagnetic radiation, because these are all more complex topics. I'm not talking about them in different talks, because Yajnabandhu, I talked about it. This is electromagnetic, this is a bandwidth, right? We have got the spectrums. And they also talked about the Suryasmi, and they also talked about the different bands. And they have got, as I said, they have got different models. But we have to explore those models. We cannot just ignore because we know something. We took it for granted, and whatever has been mentioned in thousands of years ago. So I brought together the electromagnetic radiation in my book. And Yajnabandhu. Yajnabandhu is actually, this is very important compared to all. These are all the scientific topics being discussed during this Arunprasna, but this is what actually gives the benefits. So when you do an yajna, why it gives you whatever you are asking for? Why it gives you the boons? Is it a myth? It is not a myth. It is highly scientific. So what I did, all the mantras that I decoded, what I've did is they are recollecting the knowledge of evolution, of high level evolution at the universe level, and more detailed evolution of Earth. So I mean, little details about the solar system, and much more details about the Earth evolution. And in such sequence, with the help of Veda Pandits and ritualistic arrangement, they are creating the miniature universe, more emphasis on creating with the knowledge and mantras and tantras a miniature Earth, exactly replica of whatever we are living on. And once they create this one, then they entangle with the actual physical Earth. Once they entangle, when you ask any boon from the baby that you created, this will then the actual universe will respond because they're entangled. Respond back and will fulfill your wishes. Well, what happens? So if I do 100 yajnas, all 100 will be successful? May not be. Maybe, may not be. When I say may not be, why? Because there's also something called quantum decoherence. That means if you do not do it perfectly, or do not, when I say do it perfectly, means that is the process of yajna is process of entanglement. If that is not done properly, you may not see the results as you expect. And they gave elaborate explanation about what are all the things that brings the decoherence. So they said, avoid these things during this process of during this Arunaketa Yajna. That way you will get all the fruits that you want, all the benefits that you actually seeking. So it is very detailed explanation. Then when I get into the quantum world, diversified audience may not appreciate. So that's why I guess, because these are all more what you call explainable, tangible compared to all other topics. So I hope I answered your question.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, the subject is very vast. Can we have more elaboration on theory of formation of Earth by Lord Vishnu? This is the question.
I think he has answered that.
It was the previous one. Anyway, this is
Sugunan,
okay. Should we go to the next question, or you want to say something on this?
I did not understand specifically what is he looking
No,
for.
he says that the subject is very vast.
Of course.
Can we have a more elaboration on the theory of formation of the Earth by Lord Vishnu? I mean, it's only a proposition.
Another session.
Yes.
Another session. If it is one session, just for that, because this is an introductory thing, right? I do not know the expectation. Right. So I gave a general view, but if interested, then I can go each mantra and we will analyze what actually the part of Vishnu there.
Right. Thank you.
We'll have a separate webinar on that.
Right. And the next question is there any source, the Vedas, that alludes to dark matter and energy?
That's what this 3/4. So Veda classifies energy into 4 parts. So only 1/4 of the energy is manifested energy, material. The other 3/4 is dark energy and dark matter. Yes, they gave elaborate explanation, but not in the Arunprasna. They talked about that one in other mantras of Yajurveda, Krishna Yajurveda, because I'm a Krishna Yajurvedi. I do not know much about all, not at least that I can explain something about other Vedas. I know I am not in a position to, give a lecture on any of the other Vedas, but they talked very elaborately about the dark matter and dark energy. which I am working on. Hopefully, I will bring a book next year.
Okay.
That's my goal. But yes, to answer your question straight, yes, they have.
Right. Thank you. Everything has been emanated from Om. Does this fabric mentioned in this slide, can it be sound fabric?
Yeah. Shubharatri.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So yes, these are all parallel explanation, I mean, like what you call correlative explanations, if I call loosely. So when we come to Shabda, we have got 4 stages of Shabda, right? Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, Vaikhari, right? So based on the logical flow of sound or Shabda, instead of sound, I use a Shabda because those two are little different. If you call about, they have to have something para. Before all other, before all 3 come into existence, right? That para, we call that Omkara. What is Omkara? I don't think anyone can explain it in a what do you call it, tangible or measurable or quantitative, right? So for me, Omkara is the para. All other like Pashyanti, Madhyama, Vaikhari and all, the next stages of Omkara. But what is Omkara? Is it just a sound or a representation of all these stages? That's a debatable thing. But if I say something, that is my stand, because others may not no need to agree because no one knows what it is. But what is para? I cannot explain para with all other 3 elements. That I know. We can only speculate.
Okay, the next question is, what happens if any other element comes to exist and have reaction with helium? And also, does helium diffusion process have any impact on our Earth?
So interesting question. Helium is, of course, it's very pretty stable, right? One of the nothing, but now scientists created few elements or few compounds using helium. There are, when I searched on the internet one time, when I'm researching on this one, because Arunam also talks very elaborately about the different elements of different elements, like periodic elements. And he is talking about, then it's very interesting to notice that, they talked about the Vayus. 11 female Vayus and 11 male Vayus. I was surprised to see what is female business and male and female business about the Vayu. Then I researched, then I found out, then during that period, during that analysis, then I talked about, then because helium is also a gas, then I researched on it. But there are so many elements that there are so many compounds you can create with helium. Helium actually at one different particular temperature, it reacts with all other ones. But some scientists, says that even though it's created, it stays very, very small time because it comes back to its original position. But I am not a chemist, to be honest. We can do create. You answer specifically your questions. Yes, helium will interact other elements and forms different components. That's it. But then there is no discussion on Arunam itself.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. These are the
Inert
questions
gases, yeah, that's what the word, inert gases. Sorry.
Inert gases, yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for answering the question. These are the questions on the chat box. Now, Babu Garu, it's over to you.
Okay, Sugunan Garu, you want to ask a question?
Yes, sir. Yeah, good morning. We were discussing about the rotation of the Earth. and sides, that is, east, west, north, south, and all that. That is all fixed with reference to the sun. And we were also discussing about the rotation when it happens. Sometimes, the east may not be a fixed one. The east, what we imagine as east, may become west because of the rotation.
Correct.
This is very, very logical. Then my ideas got struck there. If that is the case, when the east becomes west and all that, then what is the relevance of Vastu? Vastu is no more relevant. Yeah.
Vastu is also relative, no? So if east, say for example, this guy, this one is tilted. That's called the polar shift, right? So south pole becomes north and north becomes south. This is called the ice ages and all that, all different concepts are coming to. So what they say is south becomes north and north becomes south. Okay. How does it matter? If this goes here and this goes here, then this is north and this is south. And if this east becomes west and west becomes east, your Vastu will still hold good. Vastu Shastra still holds good. But whatever was west may not be west today. But the Shastra stays the same thing. Because whatever is facing this thing, whatever is morning, whatever you see, sunrise that is the east, right? If west becomes east, Vastu will be according to that. That's what I believe. Because Vastu stays the same thing.
Okay.
So imagine like this. Even today, if an observer, if I'm the observer, right? If the observer is in a different location, looking at it in a different perspective, for him, south is north and north is south. We can have a position in space like that. Right? If I look at it upside down, if I turn myself upside down, for me, north is south and south is north.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sitaram Garu. Thank you very much. I think Prabhakar Rao Garu wants to talk.
Yeah. Dr. Sitaram is a very good, excellent lecture. We thank you very much for this.
Thank you.
But this book itself raises a number of questions for a number of theories, number of research topics. That's what it meant for also, I hope. So you expect number of theories will come out of this. And as to myself, I got a number of questions. And I'm not expecting answers from you now because each question may have a different explanation, may raise under some more doubts on that.
Correct.
So that becomes a big discussion. I don't want to raise that, but I just want to surface the doubts on that. So one is you are saying a cloth, universe is a cloth, and then the whole each element of the universe is creating a curve. Okay, but how the curve is created when gravity concept is disputed? How the weight? Where is the question of weight? When you go when a person goes to the universe, it becomes weightless and is just floating in the universe. Where is the question of having a curve and all those things? This concept is still be understood properly. That's one thing. Second thing is,
No. See, for example, if you say, for example, you jump into a swimming pool, you will be floating. If imagine that you have got artificial oceans. I mean, in US we have got artificial ocean, but in the park they create artificial ocean, and we'll all float inside because they put the damping waves. So of course we will wear lifeguards.
then how the concept of
but
the smaller
we will be
circle
going
and
up and
bigger
down.
circle is coming. Then the question comes how the concept of bigger circle and smaller circle is coming.
Bigger circle.
What is the difference between a bigger circle and what makes a bigger circle and what makes a smaller circle?
Circle means you are saying this
Circle curve,
this
small
curvature
curve, small curve and bigger curve.
based on the mass. If
where is
the
mass?
sun
How
is
do you measure
13
the
million
mass?
times Earth,
How do you
it
measure
will
the
have
mass?
more room. Yeah.
How do you measure the mass?
You measure the mass.
Ah.
Oh, yeah. But scientists are measuring masses all over for a long time.
Where is this all related? Is not related to the gravitational force and all those things. How they are measuring it?
No. Weight is different from mass. Weight is with acceleration due to gravity. Mass is away from the gravity. Apart from the gravity.
How you measure a mass? Without
How you measure a
influencing
mass?
gravity, without influencing gravity.
Because they measure, say for example, they are sitting from here, every planet's gravity, we already know. Like Saturn, how much gravity we know, like Jupiter, how much gravity we know, Pluto, how much gravity we
When
know.
gravitational force
Scientists have
itself
a
is not
mechanism.
disputed, where is the question of gravity?
Huh?
When the gravitational force itself is disputed recently, where is the question of gravity at all?
No. What is disputed, sir?
The gravitational force itself is distributed, not there. Gravitational force is not the criteria for apple to fall down. That is the new theory that's coming, right?
Correct.
So when that itself is disputed,
Gravity is there. No. They're not disputing gravity. They're disputing the explanation of the gravity being given in 1700s by Newton. Newton imagined things are falling because Earth has got some power. But he could not explain how I think Mercury is not rotating the way Earth is rotating around the sun. He could not explain with his gravitational assumption why Mercury is rotating the way it is rotating. It is rotating like this. So like a paper is moving like this and it is moving like this. Its trajectory is completely different. So then he could not explain, and the question was holding for 200 years till Einstein came up with his gravity. Gravity is there, but gravity is not a power of something. It is a consequence of space-time. Space-time curvature, space-time, the nature of the space-time is the curvature. Because the space is like that, you see the effect that as if something has a power. But those are not actually having power, but you see that there is having the power.
That means okay. As I told you, it leaves a lot of questions. Let us not this thing now, because next question I would like to surface the questions first. Then there are the 12 Adityas are there. We say that in our
12 Adityas are there, for one for each month. Yeah.
And scientists say there are so many solar systems in the universe. So have anybody studied that all those solar systems and found that there's no Earth there in every solar system?
Not every solar system. Whatever they see, I mean, like us, they have got limitations too. They explore one by one galaxy after another galaxy, and they get all the light information, and they capture all the light information, and then they measure the distance, the gravity, the mass, all that. Then they slowly observe whether there is a water or not, and then all that stuff.
That means each solar system,
so much time
at least
for
one solar system other than our solar system has been studied.
Of course, yes.
So they found
so I know one scientist
in the solar system. They found no Earth in that solar system.
There are so many solar systems, like solar systems, like systems.
I'm talking about once a scientist have they found out at least one solar system who doesn't have Earth other than our solar system.
There is, okay, scientists are finding every day that planets like Earth, but they did not find any clue that their life exists. They found exactly replica, not exact replica, I mean something like Earth. Like when you see this light, when you see this blue, green, and all that stuff, they found based on the lights they receive, they found that there are some planets on some other systems, some completely different galaxies. They found some planets which are very similar to Earth. but they do not know whether there anything exists. I mean, life existed or not. It's
So
very,
we are not
very
yet
difficult.
sure that there may be some other
They're
Earth
not sure.
also in
They're
some
not
other
sure.
solar system.
They're not sure.
There could be some other Earth in some other solar system.
Of course, of course.
Having,
So
having
what
the
they
life,
have done is,
having the life.
of course, what they have done is, this invested billions of dollars to install and installed, not to install, they installed already satellites, dishes, which actually try to capture signals from other planets. They do not know what they're looking at, because they do not know how, if say, for example, another NASA existing somewhere in some other galaxy, they do not know what kind of signals they are sending to us. So, but whatever it is worth, they have established so many from Australia all the way to Alaska. They put so many dishes, and they're receiving a lot of data, a lot of signals, but they could not convert them into information. So they're collecting the data, but could not put it into information yet. So we are still trying. Scientists are really hard, really into that, because they would like to
Another
find.
difference I find is the order of the creation of the Panchabhutas. What you told by giving the bowl of water, first Akasham, first the next Agni, next Vayu. The order of creation it looks different from Narayan Suktam.
No, it is not of, no. I did not give you that. I did not give you the narration of Panchabhutas. I gave you explanation about this dishas, directions only.
So God has thrown some water there, and Akasham has come and so.
No. Akasha did not come. No. Akasha did not come. He threw water.
Has come, some Earth has come, you said like that.
Correct.
Agni has come.
This is only around the Earth, not the universe. So he wanted sun to arise from the one direction.
First Earth has come.
Earth is okay. This is the setup already there. So Arunprasna starts from this template. This is Arunprasna.
That means Earth is already there. From there, the Akasham has been realized later.
Correct. So in this state,
Narayan Suktam says first Akasham is there. From Akasham, Vayu has come. From Vayu, Agni has come. From Agni, water has come. From water, Earth has come. That's what Narayan Suktam says.
There is no conflict. There is no conflict, because Earth has come, and this is Earth. From here, the evolution of Earth. So that this Narayan Suktam is talking Akasa, Dvayu, Vayu, Agni, Agnir, Apaha, Prithvi, Vasadeha, Vasadya, Bhyonnam, Anna, Purusha. That is the sequence that said, right? Even Taittiriya Upanishad also said the same. But that is one. This is one. One model where from nothing, first Akasha start, because things to you need a place for things to exist. That is Akasha. Once the Akasha comes, that's the ripple it created when it is spreading. It has got property of a spread. That is Vata and the Vayu kind. Because it also has got this huge amount of inflation, that's the heat transfer within 20 seconds of time. It spread so many miles, such billions of miles, that the heat energy being spread, and then it started cooling down. When it started cooling down, that is then when we got this cold, like ice or becoming cold, and it has got senses of water. From that, when it is solidified with all these gaseous elements, then all being elements been formed, then we have got the solid matter. So that's the, what the explanation I gave may not be 100% correct, but it is pretty similar. Whatever explanation somebody gives also pretty similar to what I just mentioned. Once the matter is formed, then so much matter is formed, and it's all discrete, and it's all different places. When this collision is happening, And there is a fusions also, like they started fusing with each other with heat and all. Then they started bigger and bigger and bigger. So so who is winning? The bigger is winning because it has got more mass. It starts attracting because imagine if there's a cloth, then you have got a big object, it will go down. If you put a small one, it will go on down, will roll down to the object. Same way, that's how all this bigger masses, big planets happen. But imagine why everything is not falling into one place. Problem is, while the gravity is working, all this, any given object in the universe, cosmic object, is moving away from each other. It is like a closed container which has got some popcorn and you put heat on it. Everything moves away from each other. While it's moving from away from each other, they may bombard with each other. But in nature, is just to move away from each other. That's why it is a spreading. So there are small elements, they are fusing. At the same time, after this during this fusion also, it is moving away from another object. That's why we have got so many objects. Otherwise, soon after the inflation, everything should have collapsed, and again, there is no universe at all. Like every 20 seconds, the universe comes and goes. That's not happening. It is happening because they're also moving away from me. So yeah, it's split. It has to be its own session, okay. But that is basically.
Okay, that means that the sky is universal to all the solar eclipses, solar systems.
Exactly. Every solar object, sky is same.
Why is same for all solar systems?
Correct.
Combine all solar systems.
And this Vayu is not necessarily the air like we breathe. Vayu so is this. Vayu is sometimes Vayu is this. Vayu is this. Vataha. That's why you got to be careful. Yeah. It is moving. There is a moving property has evolved.
These Panchabhutas are same for all the solar systems. That means all solar systems in the universe.
Those exactly. Exactly.
Then another
that is why it is that is why it is Prapancham. And that's why it is a Prapancham.
So another
Prapancham, no?
Yeah, Prapancham. That's okay.
Yeah.
I got that this thing, but still there are a lot of doubts on this. We'll discuss later on that. Then now the question is Marus. We have got Marus now. 49 Maruts. Okay. Maruts. Vayu's names are Maruts.
Maruta.
Okay. And Vayu 7 into 7, 49 it has come.
Correct.
The 7 into 7, 49 and Ashtadikgajas and Dikpalakas, must be having some relation with the universe and all the systems, right? If you are interpreting Arunprasna in that way, these 7 Maruts, 7 plus 7 into 7, 49 Maruts, 49 Vayus, 49 airs, in a shorter way. 49 Vayus and Ashtadikgajas, all these are responsible for the whole universe to maintain. It must be having some explanation for those things also. Have you done any research on that? Just like you are explaining the gravity system and all those things. These Ashtadikgajas, we have got a belief Ashtadikgajas are holding the earth. How they are holding the earth? That is a blind belief. But does it mean anything scientifically?
So this is what it is. So we have in Ramayana, when the Bhagirath, I think the story goes in, then these people go around the earth and they saw elephants, right? So, these are all logical. I'm actually serious a lot about this one. Then they said they hit 4 elephants in 4 directions or 8 elephants, one of the two, it doesn't matter. So Gaja means Gachan Jayate the Gajaha. So the elephant is the only one of, maybe I don't know, maybe it's the only elephant where it will give a birth while it is moving. It will stand and it will go around and then it will deliver the baby. That's why it is Gaja. Now, Gajaha, then what is this Dikku Gaja is Diggaja. Dikku Gaja. So it is actually representing every elephant is at one particular direction. It's called Dikku Gaja, Diggaja. Now becomes Ga in Sanskrit, of course, you all know. So that is called Diggaja. But Gaja has got another one. If you reverse this Gaja, then you get Jaga. Jayate Gachate iti Jaga. So Gaja is not necessarily an elephant. It is also talking about this dynamism of particular object. Okay. Then if that is the case, Ashtadigga Gaja. So all these elements, if it is 4 Chatur Gajas or Ashta Gajas, whatever you Gajas, these are all representing the dynamism of that object. So it is a part, and to me it is a part and parcel of movement of the object with time in space.
Dik plus Ja is Diggaja. The Ga has come because of the Kakaram and Jakaram has come.
Diggaja. You will get Ga below a Ga, right? Diggaja, not Diggaja.
Okay.
Not
Diggija.
Digga. Yeah.
Plus Gaja, Diggaja. Okay, that's okay. I agree.
Yeah.
Then that
Now,
is
Anaya,
then the question
we-
comes. And the last thing is, when we talk about Advaita, the whole this universe is a mithya. And who is that Advaita which is above all these things? And when that itself is doesn't have any shape, Nirvikara, Niramaya, Nirana, then that is the case. Where is the question of the God and the shape and body and all these things are coming into picture?
To me, as I explained, this is all trying to explain the universe and its dynamism.
Yes.
Srushti, Sthiti, Laya, logically they tried explaining the way we understand. As I mentioned in the very beginning, imagine you are talking about nuclear science on a Sri Ramanavami festival on one of the Navaratris on a stage and calling everyone in the village or in the town. No one will understand. But if you put on the same thing in a story form, everyone will understand. That's what the Valmiki Maharshi came. Regardless whether it is happened or not, that book has got so much of information about this universe. Okay. And same thing about Mahabharata. If Mahabharata happened exactly the way 108,000 of slokas been mentioned, I don't know. But is the information any of use? Of course. Every word, every shabda that they used is 100% useful. That's what I look at it. So how does it really matter a person exists or not to me? Debatable question.
No, if that is not there also, Ramayana, Bharata not happened also, the imagination of those Valmiki and Vyasa has to be appreciated. And
exactly. They still stand.
Knowledge behind those minds. How much knowledge they have got behind those minds to create those slokas. That is the thing. Okay, with this I appreciate the great lecture you have given by you. Thank you very much. And
thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
We need to have a lot more lectures on this so that to understand better about this universe and science in Vedas, mainly in Ayurveda. Very nice of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me opportunity.
And one more last thing I want to tell all the members here. The Dr. Sitaram is trying to translate this into Telugu and publish it. So if he is looking for support, financial support for doing that job, which is amounting about 3 lakhs rupees for 500 copies to be printed. Any person who is having the capacity and mind of charity to support this very respectable and science thing, we are welcome. And they can contact me. I can support the bank account and other things to which you have to give this. So, or you can contact him directly. The numbers will be given by our group, in the group it will be placed. So, and he is trying to bring the same thing what you published in English into Telugu. And that Telugu will be useful for all the people to understand better, more than what it is there in English. That will be more useful for the common man to understand what he's trying to say, the science of Arunprasna. So the people who have got the capacity to do the charity, most welcome. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mahodaya, can you also tell them that the Arunprasna book is available with us?
Arunprasna book, you can contact our Lalita ji. She is having some
Yeah,
books.
1,000 rupees per book.
Yeah, please contact Lalita ji. She has got some books in Tirupati.
Yeah.
English books are available there.
You can all buy
take from her. Yeah, you can buy from her.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much.
Lalita ji,
today's lecture can be.
Yeah.
Today's lecture can be shareable. I mean, can you share this PPT to the group?
PowerPoint presentations I may not be able to share, but I can share some notes. Yeah.
Cheers.
I think the notes is better.
Yeah.
Okay, send me the notes. I will distribute to all the students. Now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Kalatitamaindi Baga. Let us request Ananthan Garu. Are you there? Is he there?
No.
He left. Okay, now request HP Rao Garu to do Prarthana.
Harihi Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kachit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Satyam Vada Dharmanchara Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Harihi Om. Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Namaskar.
Okay, Dhanyavadamuలు. Now let us recite Janaganamana, national anthem. I'll stand up and sing along with Chala Chibab Garu.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय
Jai Hind. Jai Hind. Jai Shri Ram. Jai Shri Ram.
Namaskaram, Sitaram garu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Okay, shall we close the